Welcome to Chapter 26 on Numbers and Interrogatives. Last chapter we finished up the verbs. We finished the indicative verbs with all the tenses from the present to the pluperfect. We've also worked with the moods, the imperative and the subjunctive, as well as the indicative. Picked up the infinitives and wrestled with the participles. We've mastered the omega verbs, the contract verbs, and in the last chapter we finished off the me verbs. So in this chapter we're going to tie up some loose ends here. With the numbers we'll learn how to count to 10 in Greek, which is a good thing. And then the interrogatives, how to ask questions. We'll also put in some loose ends of this indefinite pronouns and also include the possessive adjectives. So this is going to kind of be a loose ends chapter, and we've got a lot of the major parts down already. But you can count on this chapter to help you further down the road of mastering Greek. So let's begin with the Lord's Prayer. Say this first part of the Lord's Prayer with me. Pater haimon ha en tois uranois hagias theto ta anamasu. Altheto he basileia su genetheto ta thelema su. And now the second part. Hos en urano kai epiges. Tan artan he montan epiusian das he minse maran. And say this third part of the Lord's Prayer with me. Kai aphes he min ta aphe lema ta he mon. Hos kai he mesa feka mentoisa fe letai se mon. And now the final section. Kai me esa nen case hemas es peras man, a la rusai hemas apa tu pane ru. Hey. There are 6 types of pronouns, many of which we've worked with already. Just want to go back in a quick review here. We had the personal pronouns, the ego, mumoime, the su for you, and the autas for he, she, it. Those are the personal pronouns. We also had the demonstrative pronouns, the this and that, proximity kind of pronouns, hutas and akenas, this and that. We've looked briefly at the reciprocal pronoun, alelon, that's one another, back and forth, reciprocal pronoun. And then also the relative pronouns, many of which look a little bit like the article, but because of the accent we distinguish them, and those are has, he, ha. And those are the who and the which, relative pronouns. Earlier we looked briefly at the reflexive pronouns, myself, yourself, these just occurring in the oblique cases, the genitive, dative, accusative cases, and they're emautu, seautu, and heautu, of myself, of yourself, and of he, she, it, or herself. In this chapter we want to add to this the indefinite pronoun, tis and ti, someone or anyone. Before we jump into the indefinite pronouns, I'd like to shoot in 4 of these possessive adjectives. And they are emas, which is translated my, and sas, which is translated your. In the plural, the forms are hemeteros, our, or humeteros, your. You can kind of see the hemes and humes distinction there. And these are used then, these forms here are used instead of the genitive case of the personal pronouns. Instead of the mu and the su, you use the emas and su in the nominative case to replace the genitive case of the mu omicron upsilon and su sigma omicron upsilon. An example of this can be found in John 17:17. Hagiasan autus en te aletheia, ha lagos ha sas aletheia esten. And it's translated, sanctify, hagiasan, the imperative form there, sanctify, you sanctify them, autus, in the truth, en te aletheia. Your word, halagos hasas, and there's our possessive adjective there, your word. A lot of times we would have thought something like halagos su, your word, but here it's halagos hasas. Your word is truth. Great verse. So this just gives us some idea of 4 alternative ways of doing the possessive, using the possessive adjective rather than the personal pronoun. The indefinite pronouns give us the translation someone or something or anyone, anything, the kind of whatever pronoun. And they are tis, ti. They decline as follows. You've got the tis, tinas, tini, tina. You'll notice that the nominative form does not take the accent. And actually the accent occurs on the ultima for the others. Now the placement of the accent is going to be really important with these. The neuter forms, that's for the masculine and feminine. The neuter form is ti, tinas, tini, ti. And so you see the genitive and dative are exactly the same in the masculine, feminine, and neuter forms, and the t in the nominative and accusative matches in the neuter as we're used to. But you'll notice that the single syllable indefinite pronoun does not take the accent. And when it is accented on the double syllable indefinite pronouns, it's accented on the final or ultima syllable. And even when you have 2 syllables, if the word preceding it has an accent on the ultima, the accent is dropped even on the second syllable of the tinas and the tini. So a lot of times this form does not take the accent. It's an enclitic. And even sometimes when there's 2 syllables, it doesn't take the accent if the word preceding it has an accent on the ultima. But sometimes it does take an accent, and it's significant that that accent is on the ultima or the last syllable. There's a reason why I'm making a big deal over the accent and the lack of the accent and the placement on the ultima, because there's going to be another form when we get to the interrogatives that's going to be exactly the same form that's going to place the accent differently, and that's going to be the only difference. So indefinite pronoun, no accent on the tis t, or if it is accented on the ultima. Now the indefinite pronouns, the plural forms, are the nominative masculine feminine, tines, tinon, tisi, and tinas. The neuter forms are tina, tinon, tisi, and tina. Noticing again the nominative accusative exactly the same, the genitive and dative matching exactly the masculine feminine forms from the neuter. Now here's an example of the use of the indefinite pronoun. Kai apostelusin pras autan tinas ton pharisaion. And they sent, apostelusin, they sent to him, pras autan, tinas. Now you'll notice the tinas there is our indefinite pronoun some, but it does not take the accent because the preceding word auton has an accent on the ultima, and therefore the accent slides off the tinas form. Some of the Pharisees, Pharisaion. So just the use of this indefinite pronoun, someone, something, anything, anyone. Here are 6 ways to ask a question in Greek. We haven't dealt too much with the interrogatives yet, but here are 6 interrogatives that will get you started in terms of how questions are asked in Greek. The first word is pate, and it means when. Poo means where. The third interrogative is pos, and it means how. And the fourth one, and you'll notice how tricky this one is compared to the indefinite pronouns that we just looked at, is tis, ti, who, which, or what. And you'll notice that it takes the accent mark, whereas the indefinite pronoun did not have the accent on the single syllable. So this is going to be, the accent is the only difference between the tis, ti indefinite pronoun and this interrogative. If you want to ask why, you say diati. Or sometimes you can just use T flat up for why. So these are 6 ways to ask questions, and you'll notice that the question is marked by the English, what looks like a semicolon, in Greek, which is their question mark. Now the interrogative pronoun tis, ti, who, which, or what, note that there is an accent on this one, and here's a quick declension of this form. In the masculine feminine, the nominative is tis, genitive is tinas, dative is tini, and accusative is tina. You'll notice that the accent falls on the first syllable when there are 2 syllables, as opposed to the indefinite pronoun, which has it on the second syllable, on the ultima. So the placement, if it's on the penult, is an interrogative question marker, and if it's on the ultima, then it's the indefinite pronoun. The neuter goes ti, tinas, tini, ti. Nominative accusative is the same, genitive and dative exactly matching the masculine feminine forms. So it's accented on the first syllable, and it is always accented, as opposed to the indefinite pronoun, which is not accented a lot, and if it is accented, it's accented on the ultima. Just trying to make this distinction so to distinguish the indefinite pronoun from the interrogative pronoun. 2 totally separate meanings, distinguished only by where the accent is placed. Here are the plural forms of the interrogative pronoun. You'll notice once again the accent on the penult, not the ultima. Tines, tinon, tissi, tinas for the masculine feminine forms. The neuter forms are tina, tinon, tissi, and tina. Nominative accusative exactly the same, genitive and dative matching the masculine feminine. Here's an example of a couple questions using this interrogative pronoun. Ti phagomen, a ti piomen. The first question is, what shall we eat? Phagomen is actually the aorist form of estheo. And ti piomen is what shall we drink from pino. The nu got dropped out, and what shall we drink? Using the subjunctive mood there. So you see in both cases the T takes the accent, so we know it's not an indefinite pronoun. Someone eats or someone drinks. All right, let's jump into the Greek number system. There are basically two types of numbers that we should be aware of. There are the cardinal numbers, which are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then there are the ordinal numbers, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, etc. The ordinal numbers tell the order, first or second or third, whereas the cardinal numbers just simply count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So examples of the Greek ordinals are protos, aon, which means first. Deuteros, aon, means second. You can see like Deuteronomy. Deutero, second, namas, law. Deuteronomy, second law. Repeats, basically goes back over what was done in the first 4 books of the Pentateuch. Pentateuch, by the way, penta, 5, teuk, books. You learn Greek, you learn everything. Tritos, aon, is third. And so we have first, second, and third. And those are the ones that are used very frequently in terms of these ordinal numbers, first, second, and third. Okay, now we learn how to count to 10 in Greek. These are the cardinal numbers, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 type, as opposed to the ordinal, which was first, second, and third. Number 1 is heis. Number 2 is dua, the dynamic dua, or duo. Tres is 3. Tesseres is 4. And penta is 5, like pentagon or Pentateuch. 5. Coming down on the next side, we have hex, which means 6, hexagon. Hepta, which means 7. Octo, which means 8, an octagon. Enea means 9. And deca means 10. So let's run through these a couple, 3 times just to learn how to count to 10. Heis, dua, tres, tesseres, penta, hex, hepta, octo, enea, deca. Let's try it a second time here. Heis, dua, tres, tesseres, penta, hex, hepta, octo, enea, deca. And one final time. Heis, dua, tres, tesseres, penta, hex, hepta, octo, enea, deca. And so now we can count to 10 in Greek. Now sometimes, quite a few times, we've got to go higher than 10. And I want you to learn the 1 to 10 just how to count. It's just kind of out of respect to Greek. You should know how to count to 10 in a language you're learning. Several other numbers that are important for us are dodeca, and that is 12. We've got 12 apostles. We've got 12 tribes of Israel. Got all sorts of 12s running around. So dodeca, you can kind of see the dua plus the deca, 10 for the deca, dua plus the, so it makes 12. Hecaton means 100. And kilioi, means 1,000. And so we'll have the 1,000-year reign of Christ in Revelation. Christ feeding the 5,000, etc. like that. So 1,000 is used quite frequently. Let's just run through the teens then and then the 10, 20, 30s because that'll tell us how to put the in-between numbers together. Hendeca is 11. Hen will be 1. Deca is 10. Dodeca, as we said, was 12. Do with a dua, 2 plus 10 is 12. Triskaideca, and here you see tris, 3, kai, and deca, 10, becomes 13. Decatesseres is the deca form 10 plus tesseres 4, And decapenta is deca plus penta, 10 plus 5 is 15, and then it goes up from there. Now to count by tens, we have ekousi, which is just a weird form, simply means 20. Triakonta is 30. You can see 3, and then kanta will be our like 10 by 10, so it'll be 3 tens is 30. Tessarakanta is 40. We have our tessera 4, and then kanta 40. And then pentekanta is 50. 5 from the penta, and then the kanta 50. So that's basically how we put the other numbers together. And these aren't going to be all that frequent, but you just need to be aware of how to count to 10, 12, 100, 1,000, how the teens are constructed, and how you count by tens a little bit. One other paradigm that is a number that you should be aware of, because it can be pretty tricky actually, is the paradigm for the number 1. And so in the masculine nominative, it's hace. And you've got to be real careful that you see it's hace, not ace, the preposition into. And so be careful of the rough breathing there being hace, being the masculine nominative for 1. The genitive form is henas, the dative form is heni, and the accusative form is hena. The feminine comes at mia, and then mias, mia, mian. And so you have the a, as, a, an endings that give you the nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, so that's not too bad. You just got to remember that mia is 1 in the feminine. So the neuter is also trouble. It looks like hen, which also can look like the preposition en if you're not careful. The preposition en means in, and this is the Greek word for 1 is hen with the rough breathing. So it's hen, henas, heni, and you see those exactly match the masculine forms, and then back to hen in the accusative. So the nominative and accusative are the same. So just be aware of this. I kind of remember this as chase me a hen, haste me a hen, has given you the forms across the top, and then you just decline them coming down from the haste me a hen. So chase me a hen or haste me a hen gives you the masculine, feminine, and neuter places to start with the number 1, which is used pretty frequently. Now where are those plural forms? Oh, that's right. This is only a singular because it's the word 1. Pretty hard to make a plural out of that. Now for an example, we have korusai ana metretas dua e tres. And this is holding 2 or 3 measures each, ana, each. And we have our dua e tres, 2 or 3. Example in John 2, Jesus making the water into wine. The vocabulary for chapter 26. The first word is ha'autu ace, and it means of himself, herself, or itself. The second word is emas, an, and it means my or mine. The third word is hemation, and it means garment. The fourth word is nux, and it means night. The fifth word is hostis, hatis, and hati, and it means whoever or whatever. The sixth word is poo, and it means where. The seventh word is proskuneo, and it means I worship. The eighth word is tis ti, and it means someone or something. The ninth word is tis ti with the accent, and it's the interrogative who, which, or what. And the 10th word is hode, and it means here or hither.